Have you ever felt more distracted, forgetful, or emotionally unstable for no apparent reason? Have you had those days when you walk into a room and forget what you went in for? You're not alone. This isn't just tiredness or poor memory. It's your brain responding to the hormonal changes of menopause. And yes, there's science behind all of this. Today, I'll tell you how menopause affects your brain, how it impacts your memory, concentration, mood, and even your ability to sleep properly. Stay tuned, because understanding this could change the way you experience this stage of life and give you tools to handle it with greater calm and confidence. We'll dismantle myths. I'll explain what's really happening in your head and what you can do to regain mental clarity and emotional balance. First, you need to know that menopause isn't just a matter of ovaries. Although the drop in estrogen and progesterone occurs in the reproductive system, its effects extend to every corner of the body, especially the brain. Estrogen, that much-mentioned hormone, doesn't just regulate fertility. It plays an essential role in brain activity too. It acts as a kind of natural protector, helping neurons stay connected, influencing the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine, responsible for your mood, memory, and concentration. So, when its levels drop, those functions are affected too. Had you ever imagined one hormone could hold so much power over your mind? One of the most noticeable effects is what many women call brain fog. Suddenly, simple tasks like remembering names, dates, or where you left your keys become a challenge. This happens because the areas of the brain related to memory, such as the hippocampus, have estrogen receptors. As this hormone declines, those areas reduce their activity, and it's normal to experience lapses or temporary disorientation. But don't worry, this mental fog is temporary and doesn't mean you're developing a neurodegenerative disease. In fact, studies show that while these symptoms can last for several years, the brain learns to adapt to the new hormonal levels. Has this happened to you? Tell me in the comments. It's more common than you think. Before we continue, something important. In the description of this video, I've left a resource that could really help you through this stage. It's something several women are starting to use and are seeing real changes. If you're curious, have a look later. It might be just what you need. Beyond affecting memory, menopause directly impacts mood. Many women experience irritability, anxiety, or sadness without an obvious reason. Why? Because estrogen regulates neurotransmitters like serotonin, known as the happiness hormone. When its levels drop, the brain's ability to control emotions weakens, causing emotional ups and downs. It also influences the limbic system, the brain's emotion processing area. The good news is that by understanding this process, you can make changes in your routine to counter these symptoms. Want to know how? I'll be sharing simple yet effective strategies shortly. Another aspect that doesn't get enough attention is menopause's impact on sleep, and here the brain plays a role too. During this stage, the production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating the sleep-wake cycle, becomes disrupted. Combined with night sweats and anxiety, this causes insomnia or frequent wake-ups. And we all know that when we don't sleep well, our memory, concentration, and mood suffer. Here, a vicious cycle forms: less estrogen, less melatonin, poorer rest, and in turn, more temporary cognitive decline. But not all is lost. There are habits and natural solutions that can help you regain restorative sleep, and I'll tell you about them shortly. What's fascinating is that despite these changes, the female brain has an incredible capacity to adapt. Thanks to neuroplasticity, our neurons can reorganize and create new connections, even during menopause. This means that with the right stimuli, you can maintain and even improve your cognitive abilities. Activities like reading, solving puzzles, learning something new, or practicing meditation don't just distract. They keep your brain active and counter the effects of hormonal decline. Would you like me to make a video with ideal brain exercises for this stage? If so, let me know in the comments. Now, let's talk about the physical changes happening in the brain. Neuroimaging studies have shown that during perimenopause, the volume of certain brain regions, like the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, temporarily shrinks. But before you panic, you should know this reduction is reversible. Once the body stabilizes in postmenopause, these areas can regain their size and function. In other words, this process is a transitional phase, not permanent damage. That's why, staying mentally and physically active, eating well, and seeking emotional support is vital for navigating this period in the best way possible. Something that's rarely mentioned online, but is currently under intense study in neuroscience, is how menopause also changes the brain's perception of pain. Estrogen receptors are involved in pain response mechanisms, and as their levels decrease, many women report greater sensitivity to joint pain, muscle aches, or headaches. However, it's not just a physical issue. These signals are amplified in the central nervous system, where the brain areas responsible for interpreting pain's intensity and duration become more active. This increase in perception can affect your quality of life, and it's crucial to learn how to distinguish between a common discomfort and pain, heightened by hormonal context. Recognizing this pattern can help avoid unnecessary treatments and adopt alternative therapies to regulate the brain's response to pain without always relying on medication. Another little-known fact is that menopause alters gut microbiota, and this has effects on the brain too. The gut-brain axis is connected via the vagus nerve and a complex network of chemical signals that regulate mood, memory, and concentration. When hormone levels shift, intestinal bacteria change, reducing the production of neurotransmitters like GABA and serotonin, increasing episodes of anxiety, brain fog, and emotional fatigue. Additionally, silent intestinal inflammation, which often goes unnoticed, can amplify these symptoms. That's why looking after gut flora with fermented foods, prebiotics, and natural probiotics during menopause isn't just a fad. It's a neuroprotective strategy that's rarely addressed, but can make a real difference to a woman's cognitive well-being at this stage. A third point rarely explored is menopause's impact on the brain's sense of time. Recent studies show that women in this phase perceive time passing differently due to disruption of internal circadian rhythms, partly regulated by sex hormones. This explains why, many feel days fly by, or that certain situations seem more emotionally urgent. This temporal distortion also affects decision-making, as perceiving time as limited leads to prioritizing tasks or emotional relationships while neglecting routine activities or self-care. Understanding this phenomenon helps explain certain behavioral changes and adjust personal and emotional organization during menopause, an essential insight that's hardly mentioned but can greatly improve quality of life when recognized. We must also acknowledge the role of cortisol, the stress hormone, which tends to rise during menopause due to hormonal and emotional changes. This increase negatively affects memory, encourages insomnia, and heightens mental fatigue. But, as with everything in the body, it can be regulated. Techniques like deep breathing yoga, outdoor walks, and maintaining a solid social support network help lower cortisol levels and improve brain function. Would you like me to make a video with anti-stress techniques specially designed for women at this stage? If you're interested, give this video a like so I know. In summary, menopause temporarily transforms the brain, affecting memory, mood, and sleep. But it's not the end of mental clarity or emotional well-being. The key is understanding these processes and taking action. Eating well, getting enough sleep, stimulating your mind, and maintaining healthy habits are the best strategies to counter these symptoms. Remember, your brain has an extraordinary capacity for adaptation, and the important thing is to support it through this transition with patience and awareness. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep learning how to look after your body and mind during menopause, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And if you know a friend, sister, or mother going through the same, share it with them. You have no idea how much it could help them to understand what they're experiencing. drop me a comment letting me know which other topics you'd like us to cover, because we're here to learn, support each other, and navigate this stage in the best way possible. See you in the next video.